everyone. I'm Chris Kapches, president of Chestnut Park Real Estate. I'm going to be doing the February market report for the Greater Toronto area. It's kind of an unusual market report because when this data came out that I'm holding in my hand for February, it seemed like it was a different world than the one that we find ourselves in today when I'm making this report. At the end of February, the coronavirus had not had the impact that it has had in the early days of March, with stock markets plummeting and the Bank of Canada reducing its interest rate by a half a point. Unfortunately, this is early days in that regard, and so we really don't have a handle on how all of that is going to impact the market as we go forward. But we do have the data for February, which shows the most incredible strength for the marketplace. Sales were up by almost 50% compared to last year. Average sale price was up dramatically. Demand, it's just shooting the lights out, and there just isn't enough inventory to satisfy the market. So was February a strong month? It definitely was, as was predicted here from the month before. The interesting thing now is what's going to happen going forward. Some early indications are that with the reduction in the bank rate, a lot of interest by people to get in with these very low interest rates, below 2.5%, fixed term, 5 years. So a lot of interest on that side. On the other end, is it going to impact the higher end of the market where people may need their investments in their equities in order to do purchases? We just simply don't know the answers right now. If I were making a guess on a best estimate basis, I would think that ultimately this will wear itself through and we'll get some stabilization. But right now there's a lot of concern and with justification about the impact of this on the markets and of course on a societal basis. But the only thing I can tell you about the February market was it was as strong as predicted and probably as strong as any market we've ever seen. Probably the equivalent of April 2017. Some things that I should mention that, regardless of what happens going forward, the average sale price starting to approach in the 416, the City of Toronto, almost $1 million. For those of you that may not be aware of it, $1 million is the cutoff point for high ratio mortgages. So if that average sale price continues to go up and the average price property in the City of Toronto is $1 million or more, you won't be able to get a high ratio mortgage, which means you're going to have $200,000 as a deposit in order to be able to qualify for a mortgage. So some interesting stuff, particularly in terms of the average sale price. And as I mentioned briefly a few moments ago, the other side of the market is a lack of supply. I mean, looking at the numbers, we're 33% fewer listings than we had a year ago in February. So a lot of buyers chasing a handful of listings, particularly in areas that historically we had an abundance of properties, namely condominium apartments, almost no supply there. Semi-detached properties, almost no supply in the case of semi-detached properties, particularly in the 416 and in Toronto's eastern districts where the bulk of the semi-detached properties are located. So we somehow have to do something about getting more supply in the marketplace because the demand is not diminishing with immigration continuing to make its way into Toronto at the pace of 100,000 people a year or more. We just simply aren't building enough households in order to accommodate them. So I'm really looking forward to doing the March report for you because based on what I've said, it's going to be interesting to see how the month of March unfolds, not only from a data perspective, but also from the impact of all the things that are going on, both locally and on a worldwide basis, the virus, the bank's rate to it, reaction to it, the federal government's indication that they're prepared to do whatever is necessary to stimulate the economy, to offset the impact of potentially a recession coming from the coronavirus. So a month from now, it should be a very interesting market report, and I look forward to presenting it to you at that time. Thank you.